So now we're going to start diving into all of the different parts of sleep to help you understand your child. The more that you understand sleep, the more that you're going to understand your child and how your child is handling sleep or the sleep struggles that your child might be having. Before I dive into that though, in case I have anyone new here, I'll introduce myself. I am Megan Robert. I'm a child sleep coach, a postpartum doula, and a former nanny. I own After the Stork, and through most of my work, I help families to get the best sleep that they can get. I feel that it is important for your child to get good sleep, as well as for you to get good sleep so that you guys can be a healthy and happy family. So if you are someone who either wants to be proactive or is struggling with your child's sleep, I'm here to help. I help in several different ways. If you are expecting or you have a newborn, I help you understand the development of sleep and how you can shape sleep over time. So like what you have control over and what you don't, so that you can understand what's normal and what you need to be a little bit flexible with. If you're someone who has an older child and you know they're about to go through some sort of transition, whether they're dropping a nap, you're moving, you have a new sibling that's coming in, you're wanting to transition from the crib to the bed, I help with those changes as well in a proactive way. Now, my most prevalent client, though, are the clients who are struggling. So if you are someone who has a child who is taking no or short naps, waking frequently at night, waking early in the morning, unable to fall asleep on their own or transition between sleep cycles throughout the night on their own, so requiring you to hold them, to rock them to sleep, to feed them to sleep, to be in the room with them as you sleep, I can help you get through that too. I help by creating a sleep plan specifically for your situation and then supporting you during that sleep plan. If you want more information on that, you can check out my free resource at afterthestorksleep.com/what is entailed. I explain the step-by-step process of working together. If you are someone who is struggling and you want to make a change, I'm your gal. So reach out if you've got any questions. Before we jump into today's topic, also I need to go over a quick disclaimer. I am not a medical professional. I help families from a behavioral perspective, and these videos and all of the resources that I provide are for educational and informational purposes only. They are not meant to promote the general understanding of child sleep for parents and anyone who works with younger children. The information contained within these videos and resources available for download are not intended as and shall not be construed or understood as medical advice or substitute of medical advice. For medical issues or concerns, please consult your pediatrician or another healthcare provider. So, one of the things I've touched on in past lives that I feel is important for you to understand is that if your child snores or mouth breathes, please bring that to the attention of your pediatrician, an ENT, or a sleep specialist. Although there may not be an issue, if your child does one of these things, these are red flags that there are potential medical issues that are preventing your child from getting into deep sleep, which is what we're going to talk about today. Basically what happens is the airway is obstructed, and so when they are getting into that deep sleep, their brain automatically wakes them up in order to make sure that they continue to breathe. These are called protective arousals. Now, we're going to jump into today's topic, which is all about the architecture and characteristics of sleep cycles. Now, I had planned on talking about all of this just in one day, but as I was putting this together, it's just too much to cover in one Facebook Live. I know that you guys don't want to be on here forever, so we're going to first touch on generally what are sleep cycles, what do they consist of, what are some characteristics, and then we're going to touch on one form of sleep, non-REM sleep, and next week we will jump into REM sleep. So first, sleep cycles in general. In the past, sleep was considered to just be one distinct phase that was different from being awake. So there was awake and there was being asleep. But now we know that sleep consists of several different phases, and we know that by looking at brain waves, brain activity. Sleep cycles consist of two types of sleep. We've got non-REM sleep and REM sleep. Non-REM sleep is the non-rapid eye movement. REM sleep is rapid eye movement. Non-REM sleep is also known as deep sleep or quiet sleep. REM sleep is also known as active sleep or the dream sleep. So REM sleep is when we do dream, and this is when we remember if we've been dreaming. Some fascinating information is that REM sleep is formed first. So when before a child is born, around 6 to 7 months gestation, REM sleep starts to form. And then about a month after that, non-REM sleep starts to form. So sleep is starting to form for your child even before they're born. However, it is not yet mature like it is for an older child or an adult until they have some time out in this world and their brain starts to develop. So a full sleep cycle consists of both REM and non-REM. And between sleep cycles, we have occasional wakings. So again, between sleep cycles, we have occasional wakings. It is normal. Everyone wakes up at some point in the night because our brain activity changes to an awake state. The ratio of non-REM sleep to REM sleep is about 50-50 for newborns. So around the newborn age, it's about equal. However, over time, non-REM will increase and REM sleep decreases. About at the age of 3, you can expect non-REM sleep to consist of about 2/3 of the non-REM sleep, and the sleep cycles to consist of about 1/3 of REM sleep. However, not each sleep cycle is the same. At the beginning of night, sleep cycles consist mostly of non-REM sleep, so that deep sleep. This is why often when I'm working with a client, if we're talking about, okay, are you wanting to keep night feedings? Which night feedings should we keep? Which ones should we get rid of? It really, first of all, depends on which feedings are true feedings for your child. But it also depends on how can we allow the child to get the most deep sleep possible and also feed them. And deep sleep, the non-REM sleep, is going to be more prevalent at the beginning of the night. So for those first few hours, we want to let them sleep more and offer those night feedings later into the night. Throughout the night, the sleep cycles, although the sleep cycles are going to remain the same amount of time, they gradually consist of less deep sleep, so non-REM, and start to consist more of REM sleep. So you might experience that you have a child who maybe sleeps really well at the beginning of the night. However, the closer you get to morning, the more frequently they wake, and the harder it is for them to fall asleep. Part of the reason behind that is because they have more REM sleep as it gets closer to morning and less deep sleep. And during REM sleep, this is when we can be woken up. Deep sleep, harder to wake someone. REM sleep, much easier to be aware of our surroundings and to be woken up fully or have more difficult time falling back asleep. For infants, a full sleep cycle consisting of both non-REM and REM lasts about 30 to 40 minutes. So I know that I've worked with so many families as a nanny when the baby, like each child has their own distinct amount of sleep cycles. So their duration of sleep cycles, I had one child who was always 38 minutes. The baby would wake up at 38 minutes. Anybody else got that? Experienced that? So your child has a sleep cycle and they wake up at the end of it and then they need to go back to sleep. However, when they're not able to fall back asleep on their own, they have a harder time of connecting those sleep cycles and going back into their to learn how to make that transition so that they are able to connect those sleep cycles. Now, as a child matures, it will gradually increase to about 50 minutes and then it reaches about 90 minutes. As an adult, our sleep cycles are about 90 minutes. So that explains sleep cycles in general. Those are the characteristics of them. And now we're going to jump into non-REM sleep specifically. We will talk about how it works. We'll talk about the different stages, the purpose of it, and how it develops in a newborn and a baby over time. And then next week, we're going to talk about REM sleep and how they together develop over time. So during REM sleep, what you can expect is that the muscles are going to be relaxed. During this stage, we are actually able to move. However, our brain is not signaling to our muscles to make movement. So when we're in a deep sleep, we are often just laying there quietly without much movement. Now, this is a time, though, when sleep disorders can be effective. So this is when we might notice sleep terrors in children, sleepwalking, confusional arousals. It's not during REM sleep that this happens, and you'll understand why next week, but it is during non-REM sleep that if there is any movement, sleep terror, sleepwalking, anything like that, it is happening during this phase because our body is still allowed to move. This sleep cycle consists of 4 stages. So we have stage 1, which is drowsiness. During this state, the brain waves start to slow down a little bit. Our eyes start to move rapidly under our eyelids, and we are still aware of the outside world, but that awareness is starting to decrease. Then we move into light sleep. That's stage 2. So stage 2 is considered of light sleep. In case you guys aren't aware, I'm on both Facebook and Instagram, so that's why I'm looking back and forth. So stage 2 is light sleep. Light sleep brain activity changes. They burst from rapid brain activity with long sleep waves. So we'll have a burst of rapid activity to long sleep waves to a burst to long sleep waves. So this is stage 2. During this time, a person can still be woken up, still a little bit aware of the outside world. It is during this stage that maybe you experience daydreaming. So both stage 1 and stage 2, if you can remember when you were back in school or if you're still in school, when you would just be exhausted and you would nod off in the middle of class and you'd jerk awake, you were in stage 1 or stage 2 of sleep. It is this time that we remember our dreams, but they are not as long, they're not as profound as dream that happens during REM sleep. Then the next 2 stages, they kind of overlap one another, but stage 3 and stage 4, they are considered deep sleep. It is during this time that it is very difficult to wake someone. If someone is sleeping in this stage, it is very difficult, unless we are still able to be woken up by certain stimulus. So if someone were to yell fire, if there was some kind of emergency, or if your baby starts to cry, certain things will still wake you in this phase. However, just trying to wake someone in this phase is much more difficult. So if your child, for example, falls asleep in the car seat on the way home, and you are able to transition them from the car seat to their crib, change them into their pajamas, and it's like nothing you do wakes them up, it's probably because they are in stage 3 or stage 4 of the sleep cycle. So they are in this deep sleep phase. So if that happens, you can let them sleep for a little bit longer in the car seat and then make that transfer if that happens to you. During this time, you can expect to see breathing and the heart rate becoming regular. So physiologically, breathing, heart rates becoming regular. Sometimes we sweat profusely during this stage. But our body is just still and we're calm. So this is what we see in our children as well. And it's during that non-REM stage where we start to see twitching and fluttering around, especially in newborns. Again, you'll understand that more next week when we talk about REM sleep. But during the deep sleep phase, this is when it's more of a regular breathing, regular heart rate, seems more calm. Now, like I've mentioned in the past, I mentioned that naps all have their own purpose, that parts of the naps are important, part of the sleep. So the reason behind that is because these naps consist of different, the characteristics of the sleep cycles within the naps consist of a different amount of each type of sleep. So non-REM Non-REM is really important for the restoration of the brain. It helps with learning and making room for memories. So when they put electrodes on the brain and they paid attention to what was going on with the brain waves, during non-REM sleep, you see brain waves going from the portion of the brain that hosts short-term memory and shifting. It was like it was communicating with the part of the brain that stores long-term memory. So basically, during this deep sleep, during non-REM sleep, what's happening is our brain is making room for us to learn more. If we don't reach that deep sleep, it makes it much harder to learn and store new information. So when we go through this deep sleep, our brain is shifting that short-term memory to an area of our brain that's going to be more long-term. And this is why, especially for children, this is so important. I mean, it's important for everyone. It's important for adults. It's important for doesn't matter how old you are. But because we're talking specifically about children, and because children are napping, this is why it's so important that we make sure they're getting the sleep that they need at the right time of day and the right amount of it. If they're not getting the right amount, then they're not reaching these certain phases that they need to in order to do the different functions that they do. Daytime sleep with the non-REM, the deep sleep, it offers motor skill memory improvement and restoration of energy, helps to reduce muscle fatigue. So I've mentioned when I talked about the 5 elements of sleep, and I was talking about the portion of naps, the PM nap consists more of the deep sleep than the AM nap. And the PM nap is a time when it's more physically restoring. So this deep sleep helps with the physical restoration of your child's body, and also with the short-term to long-term memory to help your child learn and absorb new information. It also accelerates physical recovery, stimulates muscle repair, and helps to restock cellular energy. So all of these things are important, and they help your child. Now, as your child gets older and reaches that adolescent stage, deep sleep is also going to be really important, and deep sleep will start to increase. Deep sleep helps to shed the unnecessary neural connections. So you'll learn next week that REM sleep is more like it's building connections in your brain, but deep sleep helps to clean out your brain, to remove the connections that are unnecessary in order to make room for the ones that are. So it's a way for our brain to refine. During the adolescent stage, what we see is that there's a period of development where you see brainwave action more in the back of the brain, and over time the brainwave action is moving towards the frontal lobe. What we see is that whatever part of the brain is being refined, we see that development first. So in the back of our brain, it's more visual. As we move closer to the front of our brain, this is where we see cognitive skills, reasoning, critical thinking. And so it's after it gets to the frontal lobe, the end of that development, that we start to see that improving. So we start to see maturation occur in our adolescents. This helps them to become more rational thinkers. They can make better critical decisions. So it's this type of sleep, the deep sleep, that's really important in order to help with that portion of development and growth. I hope that you enjoyed this session on the science of sleep. Again, one of my favorite topics. Next week, I'm going to be talking about REM sleep and how that develops, and that will help you understand when you look at both of these together. It will help you understand why perhaps your child is struggling to sleep. So the sleep cycles. We've talked about the different stages of deep sleep, and we'll talk about REM sleep, which is one other stage. And then between those sleep cycles, there are occasional wakings. So with all of this combined, you will better understand why your child maybe wakes frequently at night if they do, why they wake more frequently towards the morning, why they rise early in the morning, why maybe they take short naps. And if you are not struggling, I hope that this helps you understand why your child is doing so well. Maybe you're making sure that your child is getting the right amount of sleep that they need and they're able to reach those moments of deep sleep that we just talked about. Do I have any questions from anyone today? All right, well, before I go, I am going to put in the comments the website that I mentioned on Instagram. So if you are someone who is struggling with sleep and you would like support, you can check out the link I just sent, that is afterthestorksleep.com, what is entailed, or you can go to afterthestorksleep.com/book online. And /online. And through both of those links, you can learn more about how I can help you with your child's sleep. Right now I'm educating you on the science of sleep, which helps you understand why it's important. But if you need help on how to help your child get the sleep that they need, I'm here to help you with that. You can see my step-by-step process by downloading the link or downloading the resource I mentioned, or you can book a phone call with me at afterthestorksleep.com/book online. It's a short 15-minute phone call for us to go over what's going on with your situation and how can I be of service to you. What are your options? If that is something you are looking into, again, you can go to those links or feel free to reach out to me directly. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week at 1 p.m. on Tuesday.